Respected Admiral Karambir Singh Ji, Chief of Naval Staff, respected Admiral R.K. Dhawan Ji, former Chief of Naval Staff and Chairman SAMDES, Shri S.P. Shukla Ji, Dr. Vivek Lal Ji, distinguished friends attending this e-conference, Namaskar. My very warm greetings and good wishes to all of you. My special greetings and special thanks to esteemed participants from other countries. Friends, let me also applaud FICCI and SAMDES for conceptualizing and hosting this extremely important conference to discuss the potential for cooperation in securing the blue economy. The subject of this conference is of great importance to India and also to Ministry of External Affairs. As Dr. Vivek Lalji alluded to, since time immemorial, since very ancient times, ocean connectivity and maritime consciousness has been a defining feature of India's cultural, civilizational, and spiritual identity. The India's and probably the world's oldest, most ancient literature, the Rig Veda, has a mantra which evokes a very vivid imagery of India's oceanic outreach. Yasye me himavanto mahitva, yasya samudram rasaya sahahu, yasye mah pradesho yasya bahu, kasmai devaya havisha vidhem. So from snowy mountains which reflect the greatness, the oceans reflect the essence of that personality, and these quarters, the water on two sides is like extended arms of that divinity. Another mantra talks about the four oceans as repository of riches and wealth. Chatuh samudram dharunam rainam. The tradition of navigation and ocean transportation also runs very deep in Indian heritage. Now, the root word for navigation figures repeatedly in Vedas. Veda yo vinam padam antarikshena patatam Veda navah samudriyaha. Varuna, the divine power of infinitude associated with oceans, knows the position of boats in the ocean or sea, and knows the position of birds as they fly through the sky. And that refers to a very vivid activity that our forefathers were aware of going on in the oceans. Unfortunately, friends, for several centuries, India's maritime profile and maritime engagement suffered because of several factors. The independent India, especially under Prime Minister Modi, is trying to revive the ocean engagement and restore India's central eminent position in the Indian Ocean and Indo-Pacific region. Contemporary India after partition has about 7,500 kilometers of coastline, 90% of its trade by volume and 74% of trade by value passes through sea routes. More than 80% of India's energy supplies move through sea lanes. India's EEZ is about 2.3 million square kilometers. So harnessing the significant potential of ocean economy is particularly vital for countries' growth and well-being. For a country like India, this is even more important because of very high population density of about 420 persons per square kilometers compared to 146 persons per square kilometer in China and 34 people per square kilometer in the USA. Among major economies, India has to cope with most acute stress on land-based resources, including water. Friends, let me briefly touch upon what the government of India is currently doing. As a matter of one general trend, I wish to flag that under Prime Minister Modi's leadership, the government of India has adopted, probably for the first time in India's independence history, a whole of India comprehensive, unified, multi-sectoral development vision. which is reflected in the physical connectivity, the roads, highways, the optical fibers, the mobile connectivity, the inclusion of all families in the banking system. So that kind of physical connectivity, the power grids, and also in terms of the vision of one India, one unique ID, one India, one tax, one India, one mobile telephone number, one ration card. So there is a one India concept which is evolving, unfolding. And I see a similar broad-based holistic approach towards development of blue economy as well. Friends, since the long coastline zone for India is the foundation, the launch pad for economic oceanic activity. Therefore, the government has launched way back in 2015 the Sagar Mala project for a comprehensive, holistic, sustainable development of ocean resources. A vigorous port-led development encompassing inter alia development of inland and coastal shipping, integrated coastal zone management, developing coastal economic zones, and transforming the fisheries industry of India. Similarly, in 2018, the Government of India launched the Deep Ocean Mission, which aims primarily to explore 75,000 square kilometers of seabed for polymetallic modules. India is also in the process of developing its own comprehensive blue economy policy framework, which will cover coastal economy, tourism, marine fishery, trade, technology, skill development, shipping, deep sea mining, and capacity building energy in a holistic manner. On the external friends, in March 2015, Honorable Modi articulated our vision for the Indian Ocean, encapsulated in the Hindi word for ocean, Sagar, which stands for security and growth for all in the region. Further developing this idea in his keynote address at the Shangri-La Dialogue in Singapore in June 2018, Honorable Ramesai Modi articulated India's vision of a free, open, and inclusive order in the Indo-Pacific, based on respect for sovereignty, territorial integrity of all nations, peaceful resolution of disputes through dialogue, and adherence to international law. The idea was further built upon and elaborated in the Prime Minister's announcement of the Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, IPOI, at the 14th East Asia Summit in Bangkok on 4th November 2019, with a focus on collaborative effort to better manage, conserve, sustain, and secure maritime domain. Under these conceptual frameworks, the Government of India is very actively engaged with various partner countries on blue economy, both bilaterally as well as under regional fora, such as Indian Ocean Rim Association, ASEAN, EAS, IPOI, as well as at the multilateral level. India is also a member of the South Asian Seas Action Plan, and also blue economy is emerging as a greater and greater focus area in our bilateral engagement with Australia and Indonesia and Vietnam. Maritime security cooperation has been a vital component of our bilateral ties with IOR partners. India has been actively engaged with its partners in defense training and capacity building. And also India has been supplying to the extent possible maritime hardware and naval assets to enhance maritime capacities of defense forces of friendly countries. We are also actively cooperating in a form of joint exercises and maritime domain awareness exercises. In HADR, India has endeavored to be the first responder in the IOR, and IOR countries have been priority even during the corona pandemic times for supply of corona related medicines, test kits, etc., and also in the provision of COVID-19 vaccines under the ongoing Vaccine Maitri initiative. Friends, if we look at the blue economy, as a layman, I see that it is an extremely complex, multi-dimensional, multidisciplinary area. And broadly, again, as a layman, not an expert like most of the participants here, I would put them in 5 broad clusters. First is engineering and technology, relating to physical access and capacity needed to harness the ocean resources. The second relates to the norms, rules, regulations, broader consensus on framework for orderly development and harnessing of blue economy. The third cluster relates to illegal and unauthorized activity, criminal activities, seaborne terror, piracy, armed robbery, illicit trade in drugs, human trafficking, illegal and unreported and unregulated fishing, extraction of marine resources illegally. There are two cross-cutting broad clusters. One is about security, physical security of the sea lanes, which is directly under the purview of the Indian Navy and the navies, and then the assets of the blue economy, which are deployed abroad. And this security aspect is particularly important if you are looking at harnessing of blue economy for a long-term sustainable economic growth, because security is also a critical factor for viability of economic investment. The fifth cluster pertains to the sustainability and climate change issues, like disasters, excess exploitation, issue of pollution, dumping of toxic waste and plastic, oil spills, etc., etc. With regard to way forward, friends, let me share my personal thoughts. First of all, looking at those five clusters, if we can have, by the experts attending this conference, if we can have a granular study of all these five cluster of issues and clearly identify action points with regard to these issues. Again, in terms of action points, I feel that we can have two twin track approach. The first track, which is of direct interest to us, is what can India do? What can India offer within our own resources and existing legal regulatory environment that we have? The second track could be action points on which further institutional framework needs to be developed, further collaborative arrangements needs to be built upon with friendly partner countries. In this context, I can also mention that the Ministry of External Affairs, the role that I'm currently handling, development partnership administration. We have multiple instruments like lines of credits. We have currently a portfolio of $31.6 billion, grant funded projects, about 14,000 capacity building scholarships for foreign participants to participate in different kinds of short-term technical training and capacity building activities in India. I'm sure based on your guidance and your input, we can leverage the instrumentalities of DPA for furthering our cooperation in blue economy. We are very privileged to have extremely close, extremely candid conversation and dialogue and coordination with between Ministry of External Affairs and Indian Navy. I think there is need for a broader, coordinated, holistic approach, inclusive approach within India for leveraging the broad spectrum of blue economy. Also, we need a similarly broad engagement with various sectoral stakeholders abroad. Friends, as Mahatma Gandhi once reminded that the Mother Earth has enough for everyone, but everyone's need, but not for everyone's greed. The same also holds for the vast ocean. And also, friends, our philosophy tells us repeatedly that greed and lust cannot be satiated by pandering to them. Therefore, there is need for enlightened self-discipline among all stakeholders. Friends, let me wish this e-conference a great success. We in Ministry of External Affairs are eagerly looking forward to receiving your ideas, your thoughts, and working together very closely. Once again, my very sincere thanks to all the organizers. Thank you.